In the Unit 3-4 review sheet, we're going to sketch one complete period for this function. So I'm going to find our A, B, C, and D first. Or I should say A and B I don't care so much as I do about period. So our B is pi over 6, which means our period is the period of the parent function divided by B, which is 2 pi over pi over 6, which equals, the pi's cancel, and this 2 and 6 become 12. So it's 2 pi times 6 over pi, which equals 12. So my period equals 12, which is really what I want, not so much the B. So period equals 12. And again, C, I don't really care so much about C as I do about the horizontal shift. So here the horizontal shift is C over B. That's the horizontal shift. And it goes in the opposite direction. So it's going to be a left shift since it's positive. So C over B equals pi over 3 divided by B, which is pi over 6. Which is, I flip the second and multiply. Pi's cancel, and the 6 and the 3 reduce to 2. So it's a left shift by 2 units. And D, it gives me my vertical shift, which is 420. So I can do a reference rectangle. I'm going to split that into 4 pieces. So I can use the rule of fourths. I know the shape of cosine with A being positive starts at a 0, goes up to a max, and then down to a 0, down to a minimum, and back up to a 0. So I know that's the general shape. I just kind of got to figure out where that lands on our grid. I know that this center line is D. So D equals 420. It's going to have moved up the y-axis quite a bit there. And then to find our minimum and maximum, I use A, because this distance is A, and this distance is A. So A is 350, so our maximum is going to be 420 plus 350, or 770. And our minimum will be 420 minus 350. That one's a little harder to do in my head. So that is, oops, what am I doing here? 420 minus 350 gives me 70. Okay, so my minimum is 70, my maximum is 770, so it's going to be completely above the t-axis. And let's see, I got the center line, max and min. I need to figure out the period. It says sketch one complete period. Our period is 12, so I'm going to label my axis 12. If I hadn't shifted it, there's no horizontal shift, I would go from 0 to 12. And so that would be 3, 6, 9, and 12. But I do have a shift. So I have a shift left 2, so I'm going to subtract 2 from both of those, from all of those, which gives me a negative 2, 1, 4, 7, and a 10 on my x-axis for those four critical points. So my rectangle is going to land on the x-axis, on the t-axis, I want it to stretch out to about 10. I think I have 10 tick marks here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that can be 10, which means this will be negative 2 right here. And then I'll have a max here at 1, a 0 here at 4, a minimum at 7, 5, 6, 7, and another 0 at 10. And again, it's going to be completely above the t-axis, but I want to use as much space as I can on this grid. So for the placement above the t-axis, I think maybe let's count by, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess I'll have to count by hundreds. So 100, 200, all the way up to 800. It goes up to about 770. So my reference rectangle starts at -2, starts at 70, so right about here-ish, and up to 770. So not quite up to 800, but almost. And it goes all the way to 10. Okay, and my D is in the middle of that, so right at 420, so that's 300, 400, a little bit past 400, so right about here will be my center line. So that's my reference. It's not part of the actual graph, it's just to help me graph it. And then I'll graph it in blue. The sign always starts in the center. Whoops, yeah, pen there. Starts on that center line. And then it goes up at 1/4, it goes up to the max, and then back to the center, and then it back down to the minimum, and then back to the center. So that gives me a sine graph that looks something like this. Sorry, I'm going to try to do that again, less bumpy. There we go. And I think maybe I'll label, just to be clear, since it doesn't land right on the grid, I'm going to label maybe this point. That is -2, 420. I'll go ahead and do this point too. That is at 1, and the maximum is 770. And this point over here is at 7, and it's a minimum of 70.